Posada. Guy that can do it all.
Home runs, high average, drive runs.
Posada continues his hot hitting. It is a two-run double.
The plays at the plate, the throwing runners out.
Great throw by Posada.
That's all-around catcher in the game.
He's got a fire inside.
He was absolutely furious.
He leads this team. He leads the pitching staff.
Posada taking charge.
Brings it all to the table every night.
Posada makes the...
We have a clubhouse of a lot of very prominent people in there. And Jorge Posada takes a back seat to no one.
Game-winning three-run home run.
Posada from his knees. They got him.
You've got all the tools.
Posada is just one of a core group of homegrown talent that's led New York through an incredible decade of success. Some grab the spotlight, others the headlines, and any one of them can be called the most valuable player or the most valuable presence on these teams. Year in and year out, just might be the man behind home plate.
Now, I know Derek is the captain of the team, but Georgie's, I guess, a co-captain of the team.
I like that. I like that a lot.
He's the leader on the field. He brings an intensity and a passion to the game that everyone can see.
Red hot.
Looking up and gone. He is out.
Posada has got to keep himself cool.
He's one of those guys that you can see the intensity coming out of his ears, coming out of his nose. When George is on the field, you know he's there.
He has this aggressiveness to want to win.
And the Yankees have come all the way back.
He's one of those guys that has grown with that baseball team to the point now where he's just gotten better and better, and now he's became a big force inside their lineup.
Oh, what a home run for Posada. Posada has 6 RBIs.
He's a switch-hitting catcher with power from both sides of the plate.
It is high. It is far. It is gone. Jorge Posada unloaded.
He always seems to come up in big situations, and that's when he's at his best.
Jorge Posada with a 2-run shot.
I think everybody knows what he can do offensively. Home runs, high average, drive runs in. He's not your typical, catcher, but I think the thing where he gets overshadowed is he's a great defensive catcher.
And he made the catch. Wow. Runner going. Throw by Posada. In time. Here's the throw. Out to end the inning.
What impresses me most is his throwing arm. He has a very, very powerful arm, classic over-the-top delivery.
The throw to second is in plenty of time. A great throw by Posada. The throw to second is a strike, and he is out.
He's one of the best throwing catchers there is. He throws at a high percentage, always has a strong arm, and he's very accurate and has good release.
The throw down to second base, and he is out at second base.
I've been very impressed with Posada's ability to handle some great pitching staff.
Roger Clemens and David Cohn and David Walsh and Andy Pettis. It's unbelievable. I mean, I can tell you everything. I mean, how good he is.
That's not an easy job, but he's done a magnificent job doing it here.
Catchers watch catchers, and we watch how he handles himself behind the plate, blocking balls, calling the game, handling pitching staff, and Jorge does a great job of that. And he's in there every day, too.
It's tough on those guys. That's a tough position. They're always getting hit, getting nicked up, beat up.
Oh, man, big collision.
And he might be hurt. There's the throw. He's out at the plate of the collision.
When a catcher's back there doing what he can do and playing every single day, that's just, it's kind of unheard of, really.
Jorge Posada continues to look great.
He's a guy that's turned himself into a superstar, both offensively and behind the plate.
Jorge Posada to second base. Another brilliant throw. 5 runs batted in.
It's a very unappreciated position, but to me, he's the guy that I think is responsible for most of the good things that happen.
Jorge Posada's journey to becoming the Yankees' starting catcher began in his homeland of Puerto Rico, where his father, a big league scout, taught him the game.
I remember when I was 6 or 7 years old, he was a scout with the Toronto Blue Jays. He was with them for over 10 years.
Jorge Sr.'s job was to recognize major league talent, and early on, he could see that his own son had a gift.
My dad he always thought I was going to be a catcher. He said, "You're going to be a catcher. You're going to get bigger. You got a great arm. I think you're pretty smart behind the plate. So I think you're going to be a catcher."
After all, Puerto Rico had produced some solid major league catchers, and Jorge's father felt his son was destined to be the next. But first, he wanted him to go to college, and Jorge, having been drafted by the Yankees out of high school, was hesitant.
I didn't want to go to college, and my dad said, "Yeah, you got to go to college for a little bit and then see what happens." I went to junior college in Alabama. College is Calhoun Community College, and the coach called, and he says, "I got a scholarship for you." So I went up there. He enrolls me in beginning Spanish. He said, "Why you enroll me in beginning Spanish and stuff like that?" I said, "I want to make sure that you pass."
Jorge aced his Spanish class, but he did not play catcher his first year of college ball. That didn't happen until his second year of school, after he was drafted once again by the Yankees. And even then, it was by chance.
We were playing summer league. The catcher didn't show up. I said, I'll give it a try. I said, I'll catch.
It just so happened that some Yankees scouts were on hand to watch Jorge's catching debut. And following 2 years of college, he became a Yankees prospect.
Before the draft of '91, I signed with the Yankees. That was probably the best day of my life.
After a season at second base, Jorge began his transition to catcher in '92. 1 year later, he began to blossom.
That was 1993. I broke the record of pass balls, but I made the All-Star team. I made the All-Star team because I was hitting well.
He was hitting so well, in fact, that the next year, he got a taste of the show.
The best thing that happened in '94 was going to spring training, going to a big league camp. I meet Don Mattingly, I meet Mike Stanley, I meet Jim Lurtz, I meet Buck Showalter.
Jorge impressed Buck and the rest of his staff with his raw talent. And though he was still struggling behind the plate, the coaches could see that Posada's future held promise.
When I first saw him, he was green, young, eager, and a skinny little rat that was just learning how to catch. But a great athlete with big, strong, great hands and a great throwing arm. It was a project.
But in 1995, Posada was asked to grow up fast. He joined the Yankees late in the season and played in just one game. He was then thrust into Game 2 of the Division Series against Seattle, one of the longest and most intense postseason games ever played. In the 12th inning, Buck was forced to call on the kid after a hobbled Wade Boggs was intentionally walked.
The Yankees really can't pinch run right now because they have nobody to run.
They got to bring in someone from the bullpen to run. I think it's going to be Jorge Posada.
Running for Jorge Posada.
So Posada's on. Now Bernie Williams, one down. Delivery to Williams. He walked him.
Bernie walks. I'm a second base, and Ruben Sierra hits a double to left field.
Swung on and drilled deep to left field. Going back, Diaz, still going back. That ball is off the wall. Posada will score.
I score. I tie the ball game. Bernie gets thrown out of the plate.
Here's the throw. He slides. He's out. But the Yankees have tied the game at 5.
And then Jim Lurtz hits a home run.
A 2-run game-winning home run by Jimmy Lurtz.
I really thought that was awesome. I thought it was the best game ever.
Following his first encounter with postseason play, Jorge earned another trip to spring training in '96. But now, he had a new manager to impress.
Got Joe Torre. Buck Showalter liked me. Joe doesn't know anything about me.
When I came on board in '96, Joe Girardi came on board also, and Georgie was coming in figuring that he was going to get this opportunity.
But that opportunity would have to wait, for Torre chose to go with the more experienced Joe Girardi, and Posada faced still another back-and-forth season.
I get called up and down the whole year. So it was tough. '96 was really tough.
It was also, of course, the year the Yankees began one of the most impressive runs in baseball history. Little did Jorge know at the time that he would soon be at the heart of a dynasty. After switching positions in the minors, Jorge Posada worked diligently on his catching and finally made the Yankees roster.
I had a great spring training in '97. There was a couple guys there, trying to beat me out. I did everything that I could to win my job.
Catching's not an easy position if you're not raised doing it, and he wasn't. But I had a plan in '97 when he was going to be on our ball club that, Joe Girardi was going to be the catcher, and Georgie was going to just sort of learn from him.
He came up under Joe Girardi, which I think was a big advantage for him.
When I saw him in the end of 1996, I told Jim Leyritz, I said, we're in trouble. I said, this kid is younger, he's faster, he's got a better arm, and he's a switch hitter, hits for power. I said, our time's limited.
But even in the face of competing for his job, Girardi chose to nurture this fresh young talent, much to Jorge's surprise.
Girardi was awesome. His friendship really meant a lot. I'm in the club in '97, and he's helping me. I'm trying to take his job away, and he's helping me.
For me, it was a chance to give back to the game, and I've always believed that if you're truly a team member, you got to do what's best for the team, and I thought what was best for our team was to train George how to be an everyday catcher.
So they spent a lot of time together. It was really a pretty cool relationship for two guys that you knew were battling for playing time.
Girardi did retain the starting catching job in the '97 season, but he never let Jorge forget who was waiting in the wings.
He said, I'm holding a job for you. I'm going to hold this job till you're ready.
Once he started understanding that we wanted him to be the heir apparent to this job, he sort of settled in and understood what we were trying to do.
Well, the process was accelerated when Girardi got hurt early in the '98 season. Posada stepped right in.
Youngster Jorge Posada coming up, obviously the future for the Yankees.
During the '98 season, that he really started to blossom. He was becoming the type of player that everyone knew that he could be.
Oh, what a shot by Posada! He has homered from both sides of the plate tonight.
Jorge was just the 6th Yankees player to go deep from both sides of the plate in the same game. Posada became more comfortable with each passing game, and he developed good relationships with both El Duque and with the veteran David Wells.
I got to know, real well David Wells. We clicked.
So much so that on May 17th, with Wells on the verge of a perfect game, he trusted Posada enough to throw a risky pitch.
This is how focused me and him were. And I call a curveball with 2 strikes, and I tell him to bounce it. Ball gets away, perfect game is done. So I block the ball, tag the guy out.
Got him on strikes, the 11th strikeout, and David Wells is down to 1 more out.
I was more nervous watching the game than opposed to I was playing it, and I was excited for Jorge Posada.
Popped up right field. He puts it away, and David Wells has pitched a perfect game.
I've got my arms spread out like this. My glove is going out of my hand, and he hugs me and says, you did it. You were awesome.
As a young catcher, a lot of times they worry about the type of games that you call, and if you're prepared, and if you're the catcher of a perfect game, I think that tells people that you do your homework and that you are prepared and you can call a great game.
Posada was behind the plate for 99 games in the Yankees' incredible season, and he hit his first postseason home run against Cleveland in the ALCS. Come Game 2 of the World Series, he struck again.
Swung on and drilled deep to right center. That could go. See ya. Home run, Jorge Posada.
He has so much power. What a shot.
When I was sitting on the bench, I was thinking, I said, I hit a home run in the World Series. I mean, this is what you dream as a kid.
Second postseason home run for Jorge Posada.
But despite his success in '98, a frustrated Jorge had to fight for playing time with a healthy Girardi in '99.
I'm the starting catcher, but I'm only catching David Wells and El Duque. And this is '99. Girardi's playing a little bit more.
Yet through it all, Posada could always count on his fellow catcher to keep him from getting too down.
Joe Girardi was always there. He was never one of those guys that backed away from my friendship.
As a result, Jorge regained both his focus and his stroke as the year went on. And in the league championship series with Boston, he sealed the with a dramatic home run.
What a home run for Posada. Posada, his biggest moment as a major leaguer.
And there he was in Game 4 of the World Series, with the Yankees on the verge of a title.
To me, when we turned the switch on for Georgie, was '99. He caught the final game in the World Series.
World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
That's the first time he was on the field when we clinched the World Series game.
Joe knew that George was the future, and I think it meant a lot to George, and it meant a lot for me to watch George jump up and down and have that same feeling.
When the ball went up in the air, Jorge Posada jumping up and down behind the plate like a little leaguer.
Not only was I on top of the world, I was just a big part of that team.
I just felt that it was time for him to take over the reins, and he has progressively matured since then.
Posada was coming off the high of the World Series when suddenly baseball became the last thing on his mind. Jorge Jr. was born in November, and there was a problem.
Well, as soon as we saw him, something wasn't right. Sure enough, he had craniosynostosis. It was tough.
Skull, it needs to remain open while your head grows, so it can grow perfectly round. And in Jorge's case, this side was 90% closed, so his head was growing to the side. He had a big bump here.
Coming to spring training 2000 was tough. Why is this happening to me? And we knew we had to have surgery. We had to do it in the middle of the season because they had to wait till he was about 6 or 7 months old and do it. So it was August 2nd, and we planned to do it in New York while I was playing.
So in August of 2000, still less than 1 year old, Jorge Jr. had surgery on his skull.
His eyes are closed. He's got purple underneath his eyes. But the doctor tells me as soon as he opens his eyes, we can go home. Friday, I get back from the game, and I remember laying right next to him, and he opened his eye, one eye. He opened his right eye. I stayed with him that whole night. And Saturday morning, I go to the field, and Joe Torre asked me, "You want to play?" I said, "Yeah, I want to play today."
Maybe he was inspired by the courage of his son. It's something we'll never know. But Jorge had the game of his life.
Hit well to straightaway center. It could be. It is gone.
I was there, but I don't even remember what I was doing.
5 runs batted in for Jorge Posada.
A career high in RBIs. Still, his mind was elsewhere.
I don't even remember how we win or how we lose, or didn't matter. It really didn't. Priorities really changed.
But the Posada's ordeal had just begun. Jorge Jr. needed more surgery.
The first one was when he was 7 months, and we thought it was just going to be one surgery, but his case was pretty severe. He's had between 7 and 8 surgeries. I can't count them anymore.
How is it possible that such a tiny package could possess so much strength?
He's very tough. He's tougher than most adults that I know. He still has a little soft spot that I feel when I touch his head, and I think he'll probably need more surgeries. But right now, I just want to let him have fun, be a little boy, and try not to think about it. It's time for a break for everybody.
Naturally, Jorge misses his son every time he goes to the ballpark, but never more so than at his first All-Star game.
2000, I make the All-Star team. Everybody's got their own kid, and they got him with them, and I'm the only person without a kid. And my son is at home because he's not well. As soon as he gets well, he's gonna come to every All-Star game.
So there he was in 2001, and again the next year. And it was in 2002, Jorge came up with a plan to celebrate his son's presence during the player introductions.
When they call my name, he's gonna run out there, and you're gonna stop at the wine line. So I know he was not gonna stop. I tell Manny Ramirez, I tell Manny, if he comes out and he keeps running, you stop.
From the New York Yankees, catcher Jorge Posada.
And he's running by, Manny grabs him, so I grab him, and I'm like, "Where were you going?" So he wanted to go to the mountain. That's why he wanted to go play with the dirt. I wanted to tell everybody, the whole world, that Jorge's doing good.
I was just sitting there. I didn't know he was going to come running out. So when I saw him, I just started crying. It was the best feeling in the world.
Tiene que te parar aquí.
I found it refreshing to have little Jorge run out there, and it was a surprise to me, but I thought it was adorable. Little Jorge is, you know, healthy, and hopefully all the surgeries are behind him, that it's allowed Georgie, you know, not to worry or be concerned as much as he was in the past.
8 major surgeries later, the Posadas formed a charity to help other families with children much like their own.
I created a foundation. I want to help out kids that really can't afford it, that have got the same condition that Jorge's got.
With help from his fans and teammates, Jorge has raised awareness of this very serious affliction. Meanwhile, the Posadas brought a new addition to the family in 2003. Jorge Jr. had a sister.
Paulina is perfect, thank God. She's beautiful. She's great. She's the best, really healthy, and just happy little girl.
We counted her fingers and her toes and her heartbeat, and we tried to look at her head, and everything went perfect. She is tough, though. She's gonna be just like her mom.
Uh-oh, Molly.
With Joe Girardi gone in 2000, Jorge Posada took command with a flourish.
Jorge Posada is on fire. Georgie juice one. Oh, what a shot by Posada.
I can't think of anything more valuable to a team than having a switch-hitting catcher with 30 home run power.
Wow.
His switch-hitting power grabbed headlines in April when he performed a rare feat.
Jorge Posada has hit his second home run of the game.
The 3rd time in his career he'd homered from both sides of the plate in one game. A lethal weapon against any pitcher.
How do you pitch to guys when they're switch hitters, especially with a guy like, you know, Georgie that has power from both sides, and which side do you pick? You kind of have to pick your poison.
He has homered from both sides of the plate tonight.
He has power. He hits for average. He takes his walks. His on-base percentage is good. He's really a complete hitter.
A patient one, too, as he set the Yankees record for catchers with 107 walks in 2000.
He's been really patient. He's been methodical in his work, just keeping it simple.
He's very, very smart at the plate. He's a very selective hitter at the plate. He used to be a free swinger and try to hit every ball out, but you know, he'll take his walk now for the team.
In addition to his offensive prowess, Posada also improved behind the plate, starting 136 games in 2000, while enduring the hardships of an everyday catcher.
When this guy gives you offense, it's a bonus. You get in the middle of that summer and he's caught 120 games and the heat is just bearing down on this guy, and he's got all this equipment on. He's got to call a game. He's got to think about that. Now you're going to ask him to go hit.
What a night Posada is having.
2000 was also his first All-Star appearance, rising to the class of Mike Piazza and Pudge Rodriguez.
You take your game to another level. It was just out of the blue. I was amazed. I was looking around at the players in awe. That was pretty special.
So is the prospect of another World Series title as the Yankees face the Mets in a Subway Series showdown. And once again, Posada was at the center of the jubilation.
Ball game over. World Series over. They've won their 3rd straight championship.
When you're celebrating on the top of the mountain, you look back and you say, well, this is all worth it. It's a lot different when you're a part of a whole year and accomplish a lot of things. Carrying the trophy around, and I took it out in the field. I think Bernie wanted to take it away from me, and I didn't let go. I said, Bernie, this is mine right now.
His impressive 2000 campaign had lifted Posada among the elite catchers in the game. He had another All-Star season the next year with 22 home runs and 95 RBIs. Jorge's bat also played a key role in the do-or-die 3rd game of the division series in Oakland.
Posada, deep left field, 1-0.
And Jorge was the final step in a play that will live forever in playoff history.
One of the most unbelievable plays you will ever see.
I just tried to get it and get rid of it as quick as possible, but Jorge deserves a lot of credit for the tag he made.
Posada's game-saving tag and his home run helped the Yankees win the series in 5 games. The emotional 7-game World Series with Arizona did not go the Yankees' way. But one thing was certain. Jorge Posada was now one of the very best catchers in all of baseball. By now, Jorge Posada had established himself as one of the game's most potent offensive catchers. But with each passing game, it became more apparent that his more important contribution to the Yankees just might be his work behind the plate.
Jorge has been an outstanding hitter, and he's an improved hitter every year. But now he's beginning to get some recognition for his catching ability.
He made a catch! Oh, what a catch!
Defensively is my priority. I want a Gold Glove as bad as anything.
He has been able to take his defensive skills to another level. I've seen him now, throwing guys out from his knees.
Runner goes, throw to second is. Deep time, they got him! The game ends on a caught stealing in the 9th inning. How about that?
And Posada threw him out from his knees. Man, that's a quick release.
Snapshots of spectacular plays and split-second decisions help paint the picture of Jorge's defensive prowess. But his impact on the Yankees goes even deeper than that.
He's so much more to this team and this organization than the home runs, the plays at the plate, the throwing runners out. The leadership is, I think, things that people don't know about him.
I know Jeter's the captain, but as the catcher, Georgie is responsible for a lot of things.
Being a catcher, you're the leader. You see things that not a whole lot of people see because the only way you see the game is, everything is in front of you.
At the center of that vision is the pitcher, and how a catcher handles that pitcher can dictate the entire tenor of a game. For Jorge, that's job one.
I take a lot of pride of what I do behind the plate. I take a lot of pride of what I do, to call a ball game, to try to win a ball game.
Swung on and missed, strike three, and the ball game is over.
To me, pitching is probably 85% of the game. And in order for the pitchers to do well, they have to have trust in the catcher.
Throughout the years, Posada has earned that trust from some of the great Yankees pitchers, but not before a process of development and maturation had to take place.
I think when he came up, he's a little intimidated by the pitching staff we had.
He had Clemens and Pettit here, he had Wells, and it takes a little time to get the trust of guys who are veterans.
He called games at the beginning, and then he got better at learning the pitchers.
I don't think it's easy to do. I think it's just you grow and you get older and you get wiser. You know how to deal with it.
The more he got to know people, the more comfortable he felt in his own skin. So I think that enabled him to be a little bit more vocal.
Getting encouragement from Posada, screaming something at him.
Well, he commands respect. What I've learned from him is you can't be intimidated by catching Roger Clemens and Mike Mussina, Andy Pettit, these great pitchers in the game today, because the catcher's in charge.
He seems to get on the same page with the starter very quickly, early in the ball game.
I think it's a special talent as a receiver to adapt to that individual's personality that you have out on the mound.
The Yankees have used Clemens, Mussina, Heredia, Nelson, Wells.
The catcher is there for all the pitchers, so he has to be multi-personality. He has to be the psychologist, he has to be the workhorse.
It's a daily adjustment that he has to make. He can be the guy who yells and screams to get the most out of a pitcher. He can be the guy who pats him on the back.
The catcher needs to be that calming person because pitchers can get a little fired up during the course of the game and things going on. And Georgie's just done a great job.
A catcher must be constantly thinking and evaluating, adapting to each new pitcher on the mound with their own unique styles, different mechanics, and signature deliveries. And on the days when his pitches aren't at the top of their game, the mental aspect of Jorge's game is really put to the test.
He has to detect if their stuff is up to par, or are we going to try to trick people until the 4th or 5th inning?
Posada just trying to settle up Pettit down. Come on, let's get this third out.
Not every day they're going to feel like, they can throw the ball, 100 miles per hour.
Got it. Nice sequence.
I think we don't win and we don't get far if I'm all over the place. I think I got to be smart.
He's learned to go over the scouting reports, adapt the scouting reports not only to the pitcher's strength, but to the hitter's weakness. And if they don't match up, don't try to make a pitcher do something that you're not supposed to.
You call it, you let me know wherever you want to go. And
pitchers know that he's going to do whatever it takes to get the best out of them that day. Pitchers love him.
He's been in a rhythm all night with Kevin Brown. Haven't seen Kevin shake much. His pace has been outstanding.
Every pitcher feels like they have developed a special bond with him, and that's because he takes the time and the effort to want to create that relationship.
He certainly has taken on the leadership role, the responsibility role, and I know that the pitchers respect that, and I certainly do.
Jorge Posada's 2003 season got off to a rough start. But in the second half, his bat exploded.
I stepped it up. Like, you look at my numbers after the All-Star game, I did some things that I never done before.
In August and September, Jorge drove in a staggering 44 runs.
Georgie juice one and away back. Swung on and drilled deep to center field. See ya against the black in dead center field.
His 30th of the year, tying Yogi Berra for the most home runs in a season by a Yankee catcher. Also went over the 100 RBI mark.
Posada's second-half surge in 2003 closed out a 3-year stretch in which he drove in more runs than any other catcher. He also finished third for the MVP award.
In 2003, he was a valid candidate for most valuable player. People looked around and they said, who's been the guy here? There was no question that it was Posada.
One of the fiercest rivalries in all of sports, Boston and New York.
And Posada showed his value in a different light in the championship series, for he would not let Boston's intimidation tactics go unanswered.
Pedro started the whole thing.
They're all pointing at Pedro, saying, you started it. Posada is shouting out at Pedro from the foul ground.
Pedro was pointing at Posada and pointing at his head.
I remember Jorge stepping up on the top steps and, hey, if you want to throw at somebody, throw at me. You know, I'm looking at him like, man, look at that guy. You know, just look at him. He's ready.
In baseball, revenge is a dish best served in Game 7. That's when Pedro got a taste of Posada.
Swung on and looked to shallow center field. It is a base hit. One run scores Bernie. Here's Matsui. He scores. Posada goes to second with a double. It is a 2-run double by Posada.
Jorge had tied the game and set the stage for Aaron Boone's monumental home run.
There's a fly ball deep to left. It's on its way. There it goes. And the Yankees are going to the World Series.
It was one of the all-time moments in Red Sox-Yankees history, and Jorge once again was center stage. In 2004, Jorge Posada, like the rest of the Yankees, began his season in Japan. The focus was on Matsui, Jeter, and A-Rod. But before an international audience, it was Posada's bat that spoke a language everyone understood.
Deep to left field, going back. See ya! A 3-run home run for Jorge Posada.
What impresses me most about Posada as a hitter is that in a lineup full of stars, he's always producing and getting big hits for the Yankees in big spots.
Another home run for Jorge Posada. See ya! 2 3-run home runs.
Back in New York, Posada continued to contribute to the team, hitting 21 home runs and driving in 81 runs.
Posada unloaded. Way back, Jorge Posada.
Posada's hot hitting continues.
Although the Yankees failed to reach the World Series in 2004, Posada showed his consistency at the plate in 2005 and 2006.
He has been by far the Yankees' most consistent offensive threat.
Truer words were never spoken, for on May 16, 2006, Posada had a memorable night against the Texas Rangers. But things didn't start out so well for the Yankees.
3-run homer for Hank Blaylock. They lead it 9-0.
In the 6th inning, with the Yankees trailing 10-5, the Rangers looked to add more runs, but Jorge blocked the rally.
Teixeira's going to try to score, and Posada's waiting for him. Wow, what a collision, and Jorge held on to the ball.
I'm blocking the play. I'm trying to prevent from him to scoring that run, and, you know, and that was it.
The Yankees rallied, but trailed 13-12 in the bottom of the 9th inning, when Jorge stepped up with Johnny Damon on second.
Swung on at, hit in the air to deep right. That ball's high, get as far, it is gone. It is a bottom of the 9th, 2 out, two-run walk-off home run for Posada.
I faced him yesterday, and, he's got a good two-seamer. I was just trying to get the ball in the air and, give me a good pitch to hit.
5 runs batted in on the night. He knew it when he hit it. What a night for Posada.
There's a lot of good things that happen, especially for me, so I'm going to remember.
The Yankees have overcome a 9-run deficit for the 4th time in their history.
It was a remarkable night for Posada, who finished the 06 season hitting .277 with 23 homers. As the 07 campaign loomed, he felt a special season was on the horizon.
Since spring training, I felt comfortable. I felt strong at the plate, both right-handed and left-handed, and I saw the ball. For the whole year, majority of the year, I felt the ball real good.
Posada, another base hit. Jorge Posada has 4 hits on the day.
Jorge finished the 2007 season, hitting a career-high .338 with 20 homers and 90 RBIs, making some personal history along the way.
High drive, right center field, going back Sizemore on the track, at the wall, see ya! And that is Posada's 200th career home run.
It was an amazing year as an older player, but it wasn't a surprising one for me because you got to see the work ethic that Jorge Posada had.
2008 was a different story for Jorge. He injured his throwing shoulder in spring training, affecting his ability to throw out base runners once the season began.
2008 was tough for me because my zip on the ball, wasn't the same.
Runner's going, and the throw to second is not in time.
Once it came around June, I just didn't have any strength of throwing the ball.
It's going around the league now that he's had a bad shoulder, so everybody's going to test him.
I had to tell Girardi, I said, Joe, I can't throw the ball.
For the first time in his career, Posada was put on the disabled list, which eventually led to season-ending surgery.
We went through some rehab program to try to strengthen it, and it just wasn't the same. I just needed to have surgery because I just felt like it was important for me to be 100% and be ready for 2009.
It was the first time in his career Jorge failed to play a full season. It was also the first time in his career that the Yankees failed to make the postseason. But in September, Jorge got a chance to take part in the ceremony at the old Yankee Stadium.
Jorge Posada is going to catch tonight's ceremonial first pitch, and it is only fitting. Great ovation for Georgie. Fans have not seen him in a long time. Only fitting that Georgie should be part of this and catch the ball from Julia Ruth-Stevens.
I took my camera, I went to the bullpen, I took pictures of the bullpen, I took pictures of the stands during the game. My screensaver in my computer is 2008 packed stadium.
On April 16, 2009, the Yankees moved across the street to their new home. And it didn't take long for a healthy Jorge to make this opening day a memorable one.
Driven out to deep center field, going back Sizemore, still back, looking up, see ya! The first home run here at Yankee Stadium off the bat of Jorge Posada.
My goal was to be there opening day and to be on the starting lineup and be able to hit the first home run in the new Yankee Stadium. People are going to keep talking about it forever. I'm grateful.
With his 22 home runs, Posada was part of a powerful Yankees lineup that led the league in runs scored and home runs in 2009.
Right now, I'm having fun again. My body's feeling good, so, it's just, a little icing on the cake just to keep on hitting.
The Yankees won the American League East handily.
Yankees win. The Yankees win.
It was clear with a healthy Posada that the 2009 Yankees was one of the best teams in baseball. But he and the team had more work to do in October. After missing the playoffs in 2008, Jorge Posada and the Yankees came back with a vengeance in the 2009 postseason. In Game 3 of the division series against Minnesota, Posada delivered the knockout blow to finish off the Twins.
And that ball hit high in the air to left. Young going back, still going back, and that ball is going to go the opposite way. Jorge Posada solo homer. It's 2-1 New York.
The Yankees moved on to the ALCS and defeated the Angels in 6 games, returning to the Fall Classic for the first time since 2003.
Ball game over. American League Championship Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
The Yankees took on the defending world champion Philadelphia Phillies in the 9th inning of Game 4. With the Yankees up 2-1 in the series, Posada stepped to the plate with 2 on and 2 out against closer Brad Lidge.
He fell behind. I didn't want to get to his bread and butter, the split finger and his slider, so I stayed on a ball, and I went to left center and drove those guys in.
Line drive in left center field. That is going to score 2. In to score Teixeira, in to score Rodriguez. He's made it a 3-run game.
Jorge's clutch hit secured the victory in Game 4. 3 nights later, the Yankees won their 27th title.
The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time.
You never know when you're going to get back here, you know, so I'm excited. I'm speechless. I'm enjoying the moment right now.
The following season, Jorge became part of Yankees history, becoming the first Yankee since Bill Dickey in 1937 to hit grand slams in back-to-back games.
See ya! A grand slam! Back-to-back grand slams! One yesterday, one today!
Things like that, you don't know what's happening till it happened. They put it on the board, and I'm like, wow, since 1937, nobody has done this, so it's pretty cool.
The accolades didn't stop there. On August 13th, 2011, Jorge capped a 6 RBI night by surpassing Yankees catching legend Yogi Berra on the franchise Grand Slam list.
Swung on, a long drive to deep right. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a grand slam. Jorge Posada writing a brilliant chapter to his career.
Yogi Berra, for me, was a great hero of mine, and very happy to be a part of that historic event that day.
2 weeks later, Jorge got the chance to return to his baseball roots. In the 9th inning of a blowout game, Posada took the field in front of home plate rather than behind it.
I told Joe, I said, can I play second base in the last inning? And he's like, looked at me and like, really, you want to play second base? I said, yeah, I was second baseman. I would like to be out there.
Posada, when he started in the Yankee organization, started as a second baseman before the organization decided to switch him to catcher.
But then when I went out there, I felt like a fish out of water. And I said, you know what, watch, the first ball is going to be hit right at me.
There's a ground ball to Posada. How perfect.
And sure enough, got it hit right at me, and I wanted to throw it so hard to switch it that I kind of bounced it a little bit, but he picked me up.
He threw that ball as if he was trying to gun it to second base.
It was a lighthearted moment in a season that ended in disappointment for Jorge and the Yankees because they fell to the Detroit Tigers in the ALDS in 5 games.
The Detroit Tigers are headed to the American League Championship Series.
Posada hit .429 in the series. Despite his desire to continue playing, there was some indecision regarding his future until a conversation with a former Yankee helped clear the air.
I was at an event with Don Mattingly. He said, are you considering retirement? And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually thinking about it. You know, I don't know. He said, you know what? If you're really thinking about retirement, retire as a Yankee.
Those words hit home for Jorge. So on January 24th, 2012, he decided to hang up his pinstripes.
Today is a very emotional day for me. I will officially announce that I'm retiring from playing the game of baseball. I want to thank the New York Yankees organization as a whole, especially the Steinbrenner family, my family away from home.
I felt a little sadness for him because I know he really, really loves the game. I'm not sure that he was totally ready to go, but I believe that he knew that if he was going to play anymore, it would have to be with somebody other than the Yankees, and I don't think he was prepared to do that.
For 17 years, Jorge Posada wore the pinstripes with passion, intensity, and pride. On August 22nd, 2015, with his family and former teammates in attendance, Jorge had his number 20 retired in Monument Park, cementing the continued legacy of great Yankees catchers.
Playing for the Yankees for 17 years and
being able to be a part of 5 World Series championships, things like this is things that you will never forget.
I can honestly tell you, this is one of the happiest days of my life.
It was a great day. It was really awesome.
Having a plaque in Monument Park and having number 20 retire is an honor and a dream come true.
When you think of the great Yankee catchers of all time, Posada to me is in that special category of toughness and by any means necessary, do what you have to do to win today. And when I think of Yankee great catchers, one of the best of all time, certainly, belonging in Monument Park with the plaque.
17 big league seasons, 5-time All-Star, 5-time world champion. He had 20 more home runs in 8 seasons. That gets your number retired.
When you look up at the retired numbers at Yankee Stadium, you see the 2 number 8s, Yogi and Bill Dickey. You see Elston Howard, number 32. You see number 15, Thurman Munson. And you know that Jorge Posada is one of the greats in the pantheon of Yankee catchers, so his number 20 should be up there as well.
Thank you for this honor. This is simply one of the best of my life. I love you all, and thank you again.